welcome everybody to another awesome, fantastic show. Of course, it wouldn't be that great without all of you. And of course, tonight, as many of you know, let me just turn this down a little bit. Look at I get two of them up. Yeah, a little bit of new music for everybody. Figured I'd change it up for you guys because that's how I roll. I am like that. I'm good like that, actually, to be honest with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what tonight? Tonight is Tuesday night, believe it or not. Wow, I cannot believe it. It's a Tuesday night already. That is, the week is flying by. And today actually was very, very cold in my area. Hello, everybody. Let me see. Oh, hey, Dan. How are you? Glad you could join the chat. Nice to see you on, bud. How you doing? And Carol, there's Carol. Hi, Carol. Well, at least Carol can hear, so that's a good thing. You don't have to see too well, Carol, but at least you're here. You can hear. Hi, Gypsy. Hi, Danny. Hi. What else we got? Jean, John, Gypsy, the other Jean, Lady Champ, Drifter. Boy, a bunch of you guys on here right away. Connie. All right, let me see here. Shirley, hello everybody. Welcome to an awesome show yet again. Tonight is Tuesday, of course, the change-up night. We are very excited. We have another fantastic guest on our show tonight. This guest, though, insisted on doing a live chat, which I always love the commentating back and forth because it's fun. Very interactive, and of course we get to learn more about you guys, the artist. We get to learn more about who the artist is as a person. So tonight is no surprise because I have it up here on the screen. None other than Joe Tenor himself, which I will be introducing momentarily. Spoke to Joe earlier. Very nice guy. Of course, all of you know who he is. Fantastic entertainer. Talented musician, and from what I am hearing by speaking with him so far, great guy, really nice person. Joe has a lot to share, and Joe also insisted on, he wanted to share a little bit of his personal side too, so which I thought was really cool. So aside from just his music, he wanted to share a little bit more of him, Joe, his personal side. All right, so hope everybody is well. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope the weather is doing good for everybody. All right, and a big shout out to Tess. I know she's working, but big shout out to her anyways. And Bev, I know she had to go to sleep early, so big shout out to Bev as well. All right, guys, without doing any further ado, I think. Something like that. I make up my own stuff. Yeah, I know. Oh, yes. By the way, yeah, we've been having issues with SingSnap emails, messaging, things of that nature. So if you guys are having issues, I know some of you are, I've seen it. It is not you. I think they are updating their servers. That's what we were informed. All right, so here we are. I'm your host, Denny L Curtis, the vocalist and friend. And tonight, guest. All right, so guys, on the line right now, I have with me a gentleman that all of you know and love. Very, very talented guy, I will say. Like I said, I was speaking to Joe earlier, got to know him a little bit more. But tonight, I will let Joe tell a story. And per usual, we send out the questions. Joe, in turn, emailed me his responses, which I have right here. But Joe's going to answer them. I'm asking them to Joe, and then he will answer, and we're going to have a nice conversation. And, of course, play his songs that he chose for you guys to hear tonight. All right? So that's how this is going to go. So, guys, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Joe Tenor. Joe, how are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing fine.
Okay, let me just turn you up here, make sure everybody can hear you, buddy. All right, can everybody hear Joe just fine? If not, let me know. I will turn him up. Let's turn you up anyways, Joe. It's blown right out of the speakers. So Joe is on the line. He's been waiting patiently. And yeah, Joe, we got quite a few people in the chat here tonight, my friend.
That's good.
So, Joe, let's first off let me see here. So earlier when you and I were speaking, one of the things that you had mentioned before I even get into the questions was, so you have 6 siblings, correct?
No, I'm the 6th.
Oh, you're the 6th.
So there are 6 of us.
You're
Yeah.
the 6th. Okay, so you have 5 other than yourself. All brothers, sisters, mix?
I have 1 sister.
You have 1 sister and the rest are brothers. Now, everybody in your family, from what I understand, they're all musically inclined. Is that correct?
Yes.
No. And you said your mom, she dabbled in the piano as well.
Yes, and she played the flute in high school.
And she played the flute in high school. And your dad, which I thought was really cool, you said your dad, he was singing basically since he could walk. And he did he got invited or included in the Dallas Opera Chorus. Is that correct?
He was singing in the Dallas Symphony Chorus for 14 years, and he had to audition every year, which included a music theory test. And he had to sing a song in a foreign language and in English.
So he had to sing a song in a foreign language as well as the English language.
Yes, and then he was in the Dallas Opera Chorus for 2 seasons.
Do you know what foreign language that was by any chance? Maybe Italian or something?
It was Italian.
Why did I guess that? It's always Italian.
The main language for opera.
Right. Yep. You know what? You're 100%. I should have known that. But I just guess Italian, Joe, because every time it's usually Italian. Nothing against Italians. I don't want anybody to rip my head off. Oh,
my dad is 93, and he's on SingSnap.
That was the other thing. Yeah,
his username is rnorman1949.
Norman 1949?
1929.
Oh, 1929. I'll have to give him a shout out. And so your dad's 93. He's on SingSnap. And of course, you said he's, obviously not on there all the time, of course, but your dad is more of a baritone singer.
Baritone bass.
Yeah. Well, good for him, man. 93 years old, and he's still out there singing. That is awesome. And one of the things, too, Joe, that I found was cool that you had told me earlier. So, actually 2 of your brothers, but one of them, you said he never took any lessons at all.
Right. He could pick up any instrument and learn to play it by ear, though.
So he could just play an instrument. He was never taught music, but just picked it up and just learned how to play on his own.
That was my oldest brother.
And that was your oldest brother?
Yeah.
Wow. So your family's definitely musically inclined. Joe, so let's start off like this. What... If you remember, like to the best of your memory, what age do you say that you were first introduced to music? Like when you really started getting interested in music, and like what age roughly do you remember?
It was before I can remember because my mom said I was singing melodies before I could talk. So I don't really know.
So you were just a lad?
Yeah.
Really? Now, you also mentioned, too, here in your answer, Joe, that you have an identical twin, or you are an identical twin?
Yes, I'm an identical twin. My twin brother is 4 minutes older than me.
So there's another Joe lookalike.
His name is Jim.
Now, he's in the music as well?
He can play the guitar and he can sing, but he was never trained to sing opera like I was.
Wow. So so he looks just like you, huh? You guys, as twins, I've always wanted this because a lot of people say this. As twins, you guys some people say, I don't know how true it is, Joe, that they can, one can be in another part of the world, the other can be in another part of the world, and they can sense when something's off with the other. Is that true? Have you ever experienced anything like that, being an identical twin?
No.
No, huh? I was just trying to validate something I heard. I didn't know how true it was, man, but I figured, well, we're an identical twin. So no weird feelings. All right. I tried, Joe. I tried.
And my middle brother played the piano seriously too, and as I did, and he was a piano performance major in college.
So the trend for the musical instruments, the preferences, is piano. So what kind of? Well, actually, let me ask you this first. I know you said it was really before you could even remember, but as you got older, I should say this: what was your continued inspiration since you can remember? You know what I mean? Like, since your first thoughts and stuff, and you started getting involved in music at a young age that you can recall, what inspired you to continue with music? Like, what was your ultimate inspiration?
I was just drawn to music immediately. Anytime there was anything on TV with music, I was drawn to it. I'm not sure what exactly caused that.
Yeah, because you say here that you loved the American musicals and the big band era.
Yes, I was raised on the big band era and musicals, and my favorite singer of all time is Mario Lanza. And so it's been a big influence. My older brothers introduced me to the Beatles and other rock stars and stuff like that.
Really?
Yes.
So this genre, this style of music has kind of always been your influence. It's really been it's had a positive.
Well, yeah, I bought my first record album, which was the Jackson 5 Get It Together album. I bought that when I was 5 years old. So.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, Kathy was just saying, yeah, it runs in the family. I mean, to have a musical family like that, I mean, I come from a musical background as well. Was there a lot of, because see, as you know, and as everybody else knows, out there, music is very competitive. Even when you're doing it strictly for fun, right? You still have that competitive edge. That's what's so great about music. Just it inspires you, compels you to become better, do better, and especially when you have a larger family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever find that like you're always competing for one to be better than the other?
No, that never happened in my family.
No. So everybody just kind of, pardon the pun, harmoniously got involved in music? That's
no.
Cool. So here, Joe, I asked a question here, and again, these questions are geared to really find out more about the person and the artistry, and really who they are. But before I go any further, Joe, I just want everybody to know, too, that you had told me too that now you're feeling better, you're doing a lot better, and a lot of people, are aware of your situation. So if you could just let everybody know now that they can hear you, how you're doing and everything else, how you're coming along with the situation that you're dealing with.
I'm doing a lot better, but by the time I am pretty much recovered, they're going to operate on me again.
So once your recovery is pretty much full, then you have to go back in to have another surgery.
Yes.
Jeez.
No, they're going to remove part of my colon.
Remove part of your colon.
Yeah, I'll be left with a semicolon.
A semicolon. A semicolon. Hey, John. John Argent just asked. He says, "What's your favorite genre of music, Joe?"
I would say musicals and classical music.
Classical. I would have guessed that.
Yes.
Absolutely. John, I got that right. And no, it's not because I talked to him earlier, but I just got it right. Joe, I gotta be right about some things sometimes. Joe, who inspired you, aside from your mom and dad? Was there anybody in particular, or was it your mom and dad that you can remember that inspired you in regards to music, or were you like many who just kind of you were just inspired, like ever since you can remember?
I was inspired mostly by my dad and my older brother that played the piano. But I was also inspired by Mario Alonso.
Mario Alonso.
Yes.
Now he
was a famous singer in the 1950s who did a lot of movies, but he was a trained opera singer.
We had a discussion, I think a show or two back, Joe, actually, when I did a separate episode about music and the benefits and stuff, and I was discussing opera, and really quick. Now I tried to explain it the best I could. The discipline it takes. I don't think a lot of people understand, but the discipline that it takes for somebody to do opera and do it well. It's almost right, like somebody who studies, let's say, martial arts, right, where it's not just singing a song or holding a note, but it's opera is a very challenged style, right? It takes a lot of training and a lot of discipline to sing opera, right?
They spend years learning to sing loud enough to be heard over an orchestra without hurting their voice. They can sing for hours and not hurt their voice at all.
Because most
they don't use microphones.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you want to say that again? They don't use
in opera. They don't use microphones.
So I'm trying to picture this in my head. So the whole stage or auditorium or theater rather, that's mic'd in itself, but them as a performer, they're not mic'd.
Right.
So that's their voice carrying over the orchestra, over the theater. That's really, I did not know that. Wow. That is a lot of diaphragm work, and
right. You use your whole body when you sing.
That's what that was.
Sing opera.
Right? Yeah, because they said that pretty much every muscle in your body is essentially used. More, obviously your breathing parts of it, but that there's so many muscles used when singing opera. I didn't know that they weren't mic'd. So when I see and watch these guys in the theaters and stuff sing opera, they're singing that stuff straight, man. Like, that's direct power. That's insane.
Yes.
Yeah, Connie just said that would be a lot of exercise.
Yes.
And Greg just says that he uses his whole body when he eats, Joe.
That's right.
Well, leave it up to Greg, right? All right, so we went through that. As far as that, I asked you that. And let me see here. Okay, you already mentioned about who and what and the genre and your influence. So, at a young age that you are now, Joe, one of the things that I truly am passionate about is the positive influence and the impact that music plays and how it contributes in people's lives. And the other aspect that I'm fascinated is what people can actually learn and take away from music. Um, with you, what do you feel that so far, if you can relate it to anything else or compare, what do you think that music has done for you? Like, what have you learned? What has music taught you essentially? Like, what has it helped you with, taught you to do maybe better?
It's taught me a lot. As when I was young, I was very introverted and shy, and I had terrible stage fright. So it helped me to develop a way to overcome stage fright and shyness. It also calmed me down when I felt stressed out. If I felt down or depressed, it helped to get me out of that. Also, it helped me when I suffered heartbreak to it be kind of a therapeutic for me. Music could heal my soul or at least soothe it.
Right. Right. So when you had your heartbreak, I'm assuming relationship or something of that nature,
yeah,
used music to really carry you through the depressing times that you were going through at the time. You know, I mean, obviously due to a relationship that ended, but you managed to get through it by using music as an extension of yourself, and that extension being your expressions, your feelings, your emotions, and using that to really, carry you through to kind of get you over that hurdle.
Yes.
That's awesome, man. And you find, Joe, that, and I ask you this because you've shared with all your friends here that given the recent things that are going on, do you find that you are more involved now, I think, with your music and the therapy of music to really help you get through and kind of deal with everything that you're handling now?
Yes. I think it can heal me in a lot of different ways, but it's definitely a positive force in my health, I think.
And you think that that's if you didn't have music, Joe, I know it's kind of hard to relate to, right? Because for most of us, we've always been around or been involved in music some way or the other. Do you think if you didn't have music in your life that it would be different? Do you think that the outcomes of certain events would be different for you? Or do you think just because of who you are, Joe, that it would be the same?
It would be much different without music.
That's interesting.
I think I would struggle a lot more emotionally and mentally.
Really? You mentioned here, George, I found really cool, and I want to talk about this in just a second because you mentioned that you were in Waco. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Symphony?
Yes.
Okay, so you were in Waco Symphony Chorus for 3 years, and I want to get back to that, but before I do, Joe, I'd ask you to send me some of your recordings that you did. I haven't had a chance to listen myself, but what I'm going to do, Joe, is I'm going to turn it over to you because these are in chronological order, and I think we have up here Nessun Dorma. So, Joe, we're going to play this first one for everybody, okay? And, of course, let me just send them the link here. This is Nessun Dorma. All right, so everybody can, check it out. And also, on Joe's page, he has his videos, and one of his videos that he's playing piano. So, as you were stating earlier, really to appreciate it, they really should need to watch the video, I think is what you stated. Okay.
Yes.
So, Joe, can you sort of introduce this first song and just kind of tell people just a little bit about it, if you don't mind?
It's actually Nessun Dorma. S-U-N is at the end of that. So Nessun Dorma. It's from an opera called Turandot by Puccini.
Okay, Nessun.
And I have the translation under the song if you go to the song.
Now, how do you pronounce that again, Joe, underneath Nessun Dorma? I'm bad at that, so could you kind of help me out? Zucchero?
Nessun Dorma.
Yep, and then underneath?
From Turandot by Puccini.
Turandot. I you know what? I never would have figured that out, bro, in a million years. All right, we're here, Joe. Here is your first song, my friend. Here we go. Let's take a nice warm listen.
Nessun dorma, nessun dorma. Tu pure principessa nella tua fredda stanza, guardi le stelle che tremano d'amore e di speranza. Ma mio misterio è chiuso in me, il nome mio nessun saprà, no, no, solo tua bocca lo dirò quando la luce ed il mio bacio scioglie il silenzio che ti fa mia. Delle quando tramontate stelle, tramontate stelle, all'alba vincerò.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Tenor. I was just, as you guys see my mouth moving, but heard no sound. That's because I muted, so this way here you guys cannot hear anything going on during music play, out of respect for the artist. Joe, I just told Joe Man, he's got a set of pipes. And so, Joe, can you explain the definition again so everybody can hear you what you just said to me, what that means?
The title of the song is There Is No Night. That's what Notion Dorma is translated as.
There is no night.
Right.
I like that. It's kind of like being in Alaska for 6 months when it stays day. Maybe.
Yeah, I have the entire translation under the song if you go to the song.
Oh, the entire translation is in there?
Of the lyrics, yes.
No, that was good, Joe. That was very good, man. Very good. How long, Joe, did it take you really to get to that point as far as, singing opera style? I mean, was it fresh, like some, you know what, let me ask it this way. Was it something that was natural that you just picked up very easily, more so than others, or did you have to work hard at it? Like,
it was pretty natural for me. I learned a lot just from listening to my dad and Mario Alonso. But, I took 3 years of voice lessons in college. My voice teacher, my first day, was mad at me because I had only signed up for half-hour lessons. And she said, "You're too advanced for half-hour lessons." And I was like, "How is that possible? I've never had lessons before."
Really?
But she said I was the easiest person she ever taught voice to because she could tell me to change something once and I understood what she wanted me to change and I did it.
So you were the easiest student she had. Well, I always like to know that, Joe, because there are some people that really have a harder time than others, right? And some that are just naturals at it, where they don't really have to work hard at all as far as music goes. Like you mentioned about your brother, right? He never took a lesson, but he hears it and he can just play anything.
Yes.
People like that, I am so jealous of, and I envy them.
Right.
I play instruments here or there, but nothing relating to what you guys are capable of doing. So I find that very impressive, man. Hats off to you. All right, Joe. So what I was leading into before we went to your first song here is, in here you said that you were in the Waco Symphony Chorus for 3 years. You want to elaborate on that? Because when I hear Waco, I think Waco, Texas. So I'm just kind of...
Yes.
Help me out here, bro.
That is Waco, Texas. I was in the symphony chorus for 3 years while I was a student in Waco studying voice in 2000. And then I have sung in a professional chamber choir here in Dallas, and I got to sing a solo on a choral work written by Leonard Bernstein, and I had to sing in Hebrew.
You had to sing in Hebrew?
Yes.
Wow. How long did it take you to learn that?
Just a couple of months.
Was there a purpose behind you having to sing in Hebrew?
Well, the entire choral work was written by Bernstein, who is Jewish, and he wanted to write something in the Jewish language of Hebrew, so he wrote it in that language.
Wow. Was that hard for you to learn to sing in a different language, or do you find that, because some people can sing in a different language, like, for example, Finn, she's on SingSnap, Fiona, and she 100%, Portuguese, oh my God, Portuguese, jeez.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, right? Anyways, she can't speak a lick of English, right? So when I'm chatting with her back and forth, I use a translator. But when she sings in English, it blows my mind. So
yes,
is that kind of similar to like you? I mean, because that's really not a long period of time to learn Hebrew. You know, a couple of months.
I took Italian diction and German diction in college, and that teaches me how to pronounce those languages by looking at the words. But I've sung in Italian, Spanish, German, French, and Hebrew, and Latin.
Wow.
But French is the hardest.
French? Really?
Yes. Yes.
Why is that? I'm French. I'm just curious. I'm kind of a mutt, but you know.
You can have 6 letters in a French word and they're all silent. It just throws me off.
See, those Frenchmen, Joe, you know, they even mess up the language. So, not to brag about you anymore, man. I mean, but so that makes a collective total of what, 7 languages?
At least.
Yeah, I mean, English obviously being one of them, right? Because English still is a language, well, that we know of. But wow, that's impressive. And this was throughout the course of, you know, how many years?
Well, I've been singing multiple languages since I was in 8th grade, so about 40 years.
Wow. Wow, Joe. Now, what is your iconic instrument? What is your favorite instrument? I'm going to take a stab and say piano.
Obviously, it's piano, but I did play the cello in junior high and high school. I can't remember a thing about it now, though.
So, aside from piano and aside from dabbling in cello in high school, any other instruments that you're fond of, or is it mainly just you just like to stick to your piano?
I have a desire to learn the guitar and the ukulele, but I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, Greg was just saying, wow, Joe, amazing. And John says he's afraid to sing in English. Well, yeah, and see, Gypsy, Joe, you're collaborating with you. She said it took her a few months to learn a few lines in French.
Yes.
Wow.
It's challenging.
Well, I think any language other than what you're accustomed to would be challenging, you know?
Yes.
I mean, listen, truth be told, I can barely sing English. I'm kind of like John. You know, I can barely sing English. You give me a different language, I'm lost. I can barely talk English, Joe. Oh, man. So, one of the other questions that I love to ask people, and I love hearing the answers to, and we kind of dabbled on it, you know, a little bit about how music has affected you in a positive way, and we kind of talked about that. But you also mentioned too that you said music can, you know, heal your soul, right? Or at least soothe it. So that's your inner self. I'm going to assume that's what you mean by that. And then I asked you to, and I think you probably already answered it. I'm gonna say, but if you had to choose, what artist would you like to be, and why? And that's the opera singer.
I would love to do opera or musicals, either one. I love musicals too. I just love being on stage and playing a role and having a character to play.
Now, what artist do you think, if you could be anybody other than Joe Tenor, what artist would you like to be?
Well, I guess it would probably be an opera singer you don't know.
Oh.
But, yeah. His name is Rolando Villazon.
Rolando Villazon?
Villazon.
Oh, Villazon.
He's Spanish.
Joe,
Villazon, yeah.
John he asked, what's your favorite musical, Joe? Because you mentioned you love musicals. What's your favorite musical, he wants to know?
Well, it's a toss-up between South Pacific and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, but I also love Les Mis and Phantom of the Opera.
The Miz?
Les Miserables.
Oh, Les Miserables.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Le Man La Mancha?
No.
Joe, I'm being serious, but look, wait a minute. Les Mis is, all right, enlighten me a little bit on that, because I get it confused. But you know what I'm talking about when I say that, and I'm probably...
Yeah, Les Miserables is based on a book, but it's about the French Revolution and set in France, but it's all sung in English.
Ah.
The whole thing's in English.
All right, now, what about my guess about Le Man La Mancha? I'm totally botching that, right? Because...
The Man from La Mancha is a movie musical.
Yes. But
it's totally separate. It's a different thing.
Totally separate, okay. But there is a song named that, because I think I went over this before.
Yes, and I sang it not long ago.
Yes, that's right, you did, because I asked somebody to sing that, because I love that. Very, very, very hard song to do, by the way. That's right, you did sing that.
Uh-huh.
And you also said that you've always wanted to be in your favorite musicals and operas. Excuse me, chip went down the wrong pipe. But you also mentioned here too, Joe, that you love to take on a character, right? And
yes.
You love to act out the song that you sing. And you said, to me,
yes.
that is great fun. You also love to sing in foreign accents, which you've explained.
Yes.
You've even enjoyed singing foreign languages, which now equates to roughly about 7, English included, not foreign. But you have sung, as you mentioned, Italian, Germany, some French, which was your hardest, you mentioned, Spanish,
mm-hmm.
Latin, Portuguese, and Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on to say, Joe, that you don't want to ever be limited to only one genre or type of singer.
Right.
So you love to sing no matter what, as long as it's a great song.
Right. And I think that a lot of people can benefit from the training that they give opera singers. They don't have to sound like an opera singer, but it'll make them better singers.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. And I want you to answer that, because I actually have a really good question in regards to that, which I think would help a lot of people, especially in chat, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to go back to that about singing opera, but not having to sound like one, but the experience and the takeaway from doing that, which I think is really cool, because I think it has a lot of value to it. But before I get back to that, Joe, let's take you on to your next song selection, Jack's Lament.
Yes.
Okay.
Jack's Lament is from the animated movie The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's just a really fun thing to sing for me.
My oldest daughter loves that movie. The Nightmare, it's the same one. It has to be The Nightmare Before Christmas. The animated one with those scary looking dudes, look like a scarecrow or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So this, Joe, is your second song choice that you wanted to share to everybody. Jack's Lament from The Nightmare Before Christmas. All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Joe Tenor, and let me just pull up this link for them. And they can just click on it to really see the video. So again, Jack's Lament, Nightmare Before Christmas. Here we go.
There are few who deny at what I do I am the best, for my talents are renowned far and wide. When it comes to surprises in the moonlit night, I excel without ever even trying. With the slightest little effort of my ghost-like charm, I have seen grown men give out a shriek. With a wave of my hand and a well-placed moan, I have swept the very bravest off their feet. Yet year after year, it's the same routine, and I grow so weary of the sound of screams. And I, Jack, the Pumpkin King, have grown so tired of the same old thing. Oh, somewhere deep inside of these bones, an emptiness began to grow. There's something out there far from my home, a longing that I've never known. I'm the master of fright and the demon of light, and I'll scare you right out of your pants. To a guy in Kentucky, I am Mr. Unlucky, and I'm known throughout England and France. And since I am dead, I can take off my head to recite Shakespearean quotations. No animal nor man can scream like I can with the fury of my recitations. But who here would ever understand that the Pumpkin King with the skeleton grin would tire of his crown? If they only understood, he'd give it all up if he only could. Oh, there's an empty place in my bones that calls out for something unknown. The fame and praise come year after year, does nothing for these empty tears.
Ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. Joe Tenor from the Nightmare Before Christmas. That was an animated movie. I never watched it myself. My daughter, however, my oldest, she loves that movie, even still to this day. And yeah, a lot of expression in that song, Joe. You can hear it as if your voice is almost acting out, right? Like you can hear the expressions that you're portraying, which I thought was really, really cool. Now, I have the privilege of watching the video as you guys are listening to it, but that's why we send the links. If you're not familiar with these recordings, you can just, click on that link. And Daniela, welcome. Nice to see you, by the way. Let me see here, Joe. Before I lose track, you mentioned that you were in 3 others, right, when you were in Waco.
I was in 3 operas, but actually two of them were the same one, but in different cities. I was in an opera by Gilbert and Sullivan. They were British composers, and it was called The Mikado.
Now,
and then I did another opera that was based on the children's poem Casey at the Bat. It was a baseball opera.
A baseball opera?
Yeah.
What's a
very modern?
What's a baseball opera? If you don't mind.
Well, it was based on the Casey at the Bat poem about the mighty Casey who comes to bat, and they're hoping he's going to win the game for the team, and he strikes out. but I played a elderly fan in the stadium, and I get this big solo where I have to hold a B flat, which is really a high note, and I hold it forever, and then I finish the song.
So that was your closing note, the B flat.
Yeah, that was my closing note, my big number for that song, or for that opera. But I played that character for the whole opera.
Wow. And that's tough to do because for a lot of people not familiar with it, it's almost like singing Sawa, like out of tune, basically.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people who aren't familiar with how that works is basically when you hear like, you know, a lot of singers and stuff, they almost sound like they're flat, or in terms of what they call singing sour, but they're not. It's just the note. That's to carry. It's very, very tough. B flat is a tough note to carry, and so you had to carry that. That had to be your ending note. That's awesome, Joe. Definitely well accomplished, man. From what I'm hearing, tons of experience, and the fact, I don't know for those who are just joining, but yeah, Daniela, Joe roughly sings about 6 to 7 different languages. And of course, English. See, I can't even talk English. Joe, never mind, say it. English being the primary. Oh, boy. One of the questions, actually, one of the points I started getting into, Joe, before we went to your song here, was that because you're an opera, and I touched on this during the show as well, is that you had said something to the line of, you don't have to sound like an opera singer to sing opera, right? But it's...
Well, not to sing opera. You can sing any style of song, but the techniques that they teach opera singers can help anybody that sings whatever genre they're singing.
So would you safely say, Joe, that and I find this interesting, that learning opera techniques can essentially help anybody to become a better, vocalist, if you will.
A better singer overall. You can expand your range. You can increase your power, because the foundation of singing is proper breathing technique. And you can learn to sing longer phrases in one breath.
That's amazing.
They help you with a lot of other things too, how to get the sound out more, how to belt without hurting your voice, if you need a vibrato, how to make it more natural.
So like when a lot of people do, either falsetto, or they have that, as I like to call it, the sheep vibrato, they can learn how to... Billy Goat, they can learn how to control that, right? Through the techniques of singing, not mimicking, but using opera techniques, which really can help them.
Well, what most people don't understand is that the vibrato comes naturally if you're doing other things correctly.
Yes.
It's not something that you're creating intentionally or trying to control.
I'm going to assume your answer is going to be, yes, I can say for myself that, that came natural for me, but it sounds like it did for you too. Because we have you live, Joe, and you have, it's not as if, you're somebody who started off from scratch, say mid-age and just wanted to get into music, right? You've been in music your entire life, essentially. And,
yes,
classical opera, musicals, your dad mainly being your main influencer. For those who may be listening, because there are a lot of people who just watch or view, but they don't chat, and there are many artists, Joe, even on SingSnap, right, who email me or they email the team, and they want to share their music. They want to be on the show, but they're a little hesitant. You know, maybe they're what we call in the business closet singers, right? But they're very either shy or embarrassed about letting others hear. It's one thing to share, make public your songs on SingSnap. You know that because you have your certain niche of fans, right? But what advice, Joe, and what inspiration can you give to people who are listening right now to help them to, get over that shyness and help them to encourage, to really get out there and let people hear them? Like, what advice would you have for them?
Well, I think it would help to remind yourself that you're doing something to express yourself, a part of yourself to others, and you need to share it. People will enjoy it if you're singing from the heart. Beethoven said, "It's okay to miss a note. That's forgivable. But if you perform music without passion, that's unforgivable." So you have to be passionate about it and love it. Don't worry about making mistakes.
My man, see, I think that's key, Joe, for a lot of us, right? Even the vetted singers too, we're all so concerned, I think, and I'll just speak for myself, I won't say in general, but concerned with, maybe singing the wrong note, the pitch is off, not singing in key, maybe our timing's off, and I think for people just starting out or really just, wanting to get out there but too shy, like you said, sing from your heart. Don't overthink it. I think it's kind of what you're saying, right? Don't overthink your music. It's almost.
And SingSnap is really all about having fun. If you're not having fun, then why are you there?
I could have said that better myself, Joe. I mean, music should be about that, right? And then whatever else follows. Because when I hear you sing and I watch your videos, you're definitely having a lot of fun with your music. You can tell by hearing the expressions when you sing. It's almost as if you're acting out your life, your story. Your music is an extension. It's a tool. It's part of us, right? So when you're singing, you're essentially telling a story. And I'm going to gather that perhaps maybe that's why you're drawn to opera and stuff so much, because that's more what it is, right? It's theatrical.
Yes.
So your involvement with music is all theatrical. So you've learned really how to invoke everything about what music truly is. Because, I mean, isn't your style, your genre of music, isn't that really what opera is all about? It's truly about the true passion of music.
Right. Well, they didn't have movies back when opera started. All they had was theater, and they wanted to implement music with it, so they came up with opera.
Really? So
yes.
So that's how opera got started. It was in place of, or lack of.
But a lack of other ways to entertain. So that's what they came up with.
So essentially, Joe, opera was kind of like our first featured film.
Right.
That's cool. See, Joe, I even surprised myself because I, too, learn something new every day. I know you guys don't believe that out there. I get it. I understand. Joe, you're doing great, man. You're doing great. Listen, man, I got to tell you, you truly are an inspiration, and this is why I love these interviews, guys. This is why I love and encourage you guys to come on, and even if you can't do a live like what Joe is doing, you can do like what Greg did. It's because we all learn so much about each other, and we get to know each other more on a personal level, aside from the music, which I think really tells a lot about who you are. And just during this interview, Joe has shared so much with us, not only his musical talents, the person who Joe is, but Joe, I also think that you have a lot of great strengths, a lot of endurance, which really is inspiring to people, because we all go through battles, right, at one point or another, whether it's finances, health, relationships, regardless of what our scars may be. I think that hearing the stories and challenges from others and incorporating that with music and how music has truly helped you, I'm sure it can, even if it helps just one other person, right? I mean, don't you find that like inspiring? Because I think you even said that in one of your answers, how you are inspired or how you get motivated when you see how it affects others in a positive way.
Right. That's definitely one of my biggest motivators, is when I see how it affects other people in a positive way.
That was so awesome, Joe. That is so awesome. I'm going to pull up your third song here, Joe. And this one is House Where Nobody Lives. Tom
Waits.
Tom Waits. Okay.
Yeah, and this is a totally different style of singing, so you can hear something different.
Oh, really?
Yes, this is more kind of a country blues type song.
Country blues type. So that would be kind of bluegrass. Not bluegrass. What would that be, Joe? All right. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Tenor, House Where Nobody Lives. Tom Waits. Kind of a country blues, Joe says. All right. Here we go. Let me just send them the link, Joe, so they can check this out. I would equate that to being like a bluegrass thing. And yes, Danielle, I think it's awesome advice. All right. Here we go.
There's a house on my block that's abandoned and cold. The folks moved out of it a long time ago, and they took all their things and they never came back. It looks like it's haunted with the windows all cracked. Everyone calls it the house where nobody lives. Once it held laughter, once it held dreams. Did they throw it away? Did they know what it means? Did someone's heart break? Or did someone do somebody wrong? Well, the paint is all cracked. It was peeled off of the wood. The papers were stacked on the porch where I stood, and the weeds had grown up just as high as the door. There were birds in the chimney and an old chest of drawers. Looks like no one will ever come back to the house where nobody lives. Once it held dreams, did they throw it away? Did they know what it means? Did someone's heart break? Or did someone do somebody wrong? So if you find someone to have, someone to hold, don't trade it for silver, oh, don't trade it for gold. 'Cause I have all of life's treasures, and they're fine and they're good. They remind me that houses are just made of wood. What makes a house grand? Oh, it ain't the roof or the doors. If there's love in a house, it's a palace for sure. But without love, it ain't nothing but a house where nobody lives. But without love, it ain't nothing but a house where nobody lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Tenor with the diversity going on here. Joe and I, during his play, I was actually just chatting that. I think it was Daniela that mentioned that as well. And somebody else said, Joe, you sound like a completely different singer. And I was telling Joe, I was trying to peg that sound, not from the actual artist, but from Joe's style, his tone, the character of his voice. I still can't peg it, but it's got a lot of familiarity to it. But Joe, that is definitely way out of what everybody, well, me, is accustomed to hearing. So I'm glad that you picked that song.
Yes.
Because
I wanted to show that I could do more varieties of singing than just musicals and operas.
But you know what? That rings true, Joe, to what you said about learning the techniques of opera. And I think that
Right.
last song speaks volume, and it speaks for itself, what you just said. And matter of fact, I just told Joe that I'm actually going to start to learn a little bit of the techniques of opera, because I think there's always room for improving and doing something better. If not better, then different at best. And Joe, we have one more here. It's a very quick one. Before we let you go here, but I wanted to bring up something really quick here that I thought was very, very important. It says, I do enjoy singing Elvis songs from time to time. Now, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very important. Everybody... Everybody needs to know that, Joe. That should have been like the memento, the highlight of Joe's interview is that Joe likes to, every once in a while, he says, enjoy singing Elvis Presley songs. What's your favorite Elvis song? I know it's hard, I get that, but what's your favorite? If you had to pick one.
Oh, that is hard.
Right? I know.
Yeah, I have a hard time deciding.
I know. Well, you can leave that for another time. I understand that. I don't have a favorite either, because I like a lot of the older country Elvis myself, the unheard stuff, the boxed sessions. But I just wanted to bring that up. All in good humor, though. Man, those chips are drying out my throat. I do apologize. That last song, Joe, I really, really love. Not that I don't love all of your songs that you featured here, but I like that one in particular because there's so much diversity in it, and it distinguishes you as being independent from what people are accustomed to. You know what I mean? From what you essentially learned.
Right.
Right. So this here makes you sort of independent from that, and which I think is really, really cool. And I think that that's a really good influence for others, myself included, for others to kind of. Roy Clark. Yes, John, thank you. Argent just side messaged me. That's who I was trying to think of. That song. That has a Roy Clark style to it. Thank you, John. And that is a huge compliment, but that's what it was. Argent nailed it.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, I think that everybody, should really, Joe, dabble out of their comfort zone, right? Do something that they're not accustomed to. And really challenge themselves. I mean, have fun, obviously, right? That's what music is about. Have fun doing it, but really challenge yourself. And you'll be surprised as to what you're capable of. Even if you sound like crap or choking chicken, who cares?
Right.
Right? We all choke chicken. Singing, Joe. All right, Joe, we have a very special last song that you picked. Before we let Mr. Tenor go, Joe has picked a very special one. And so, Joe, explain to everybody what this is. I know I can see a video of you.
Uh-huh.
And for you to appreciate it, Joe says that you really need to watch this video here that I'm sending to you right now. So, Joe, you want to explain this song for everybody, please?
This is a piano piece that I learned when I think I was 15 or 16 years old. It's written by Felix Mendelssohn. It's a piano piece that's part of a collection of piano pieces he wrote titled Song Without Words. And this is called The Boat Song.
The Boat Song. And so this is you sitting down at this beautiful looking piano playing. Right.
Yes.
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. When you get a chance, click on the link and watch the video. Mr. Joe Tenor. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Joe Tenor. Just sent you another link. I know some of you were trying to watch it during the live stream as we were playing it. Joe, amazing. You are that as they say, that multi-talented sunbeam, my friend.
I appreciate it. I just really am humbled and honored to be featured at all. But, it's been a great experience.
Well, Joe, I can tell you this, that, you know, truly the honor is mine, truly. And I keep looking to a screen that I can't see you on as I'm talking to you, but just have it. But truly, the honor is mine. And I mean that with all sincerity. You know, I tell everybody every single time that we do these shows, everybody here has built a community. And essentially, it's an extensive family, right? You know, we have these arms, and now our arms are extended literally across the world. And this channel, this show has turned into totally something different than what I ever expected, anticipated, and even could have imagined. And it's because of people like you, Joe, like Greg, like John, like all of you guys that really make the difference and keep everybody coming back, coming together, and supporting each other. Never in my wildest dreams, Joe, would I have ever imagined doing this and being able to have the joy and honor to befriend and truly become close and have a personal connection with everybody that I never met from around the world, developing relationships. And every time I host this show, I can tell you I've had some bad moments literally hours beforehand. But when I'm done the show, Joe, because of people like you, I feel motivated. I feel refreshed again. It's almost as if like I just went to a spiritual study and I was just motivated. You know, so the honor is mine. I truly enjoyed, as I'm sure everybody else did, hearing about your music abilities, your journeys, also your personal side of you, Joe, which really, I think, touches the hearts of a lot of us. And especially everything you're going through now. And you're staying strong. You're sounding good. You're a good, positive man and a great influencer for many, Joe. So I personally thank you, my friend.
I appreciate everything that you do for us, too. And thank you for having me tonight.
Truly my pleasure, as well as the teams and everybody out there in Chatland. And don't forget, guys, Joe, you got to tell them to subscribe and hit notifications, right, so they can be notified. Because if you weren't live tonight and you may have missed the show, you will be notified once it's done streaming, so you can come back and watch this fantastic interview with the great Joe Tenor.
Also hit the thumbs up.
Yeah, see? All right, Joe, you're hired. Hit the thumbs up, not down. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our Tuesday show. I thank each and every one of you. Of course, I thank the team for doing such great and hard, terrific work. And Joe, I thank you so very much. We all thank you. And of course, we will be, I'm sure, chatting with you before you go in for your surgery again. But meantime, my friend, stay safe, stay positive, Joe. I appreciate you.
I will.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Joe Tenor. I thank him for personally sharing all of his journeys with us, as well as his musical inspirations and his personal side. Well, that concludes our show, everybody. I am the vocalist-Denny L Curtis, and friends, I thank you all so very much. And please, yes, be kind to others, be kind kind to yourself. Stay well. Stay healthy, guys. Be with the ones you love. And until we sing again, guys, God bless. Adios. I'll see you all on Friday. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joe. Have a great night, guys.